Hello students, welcome to Biology Made Easy for You. Today we'll start with a new chapter, Human Health and Disease. It's a very important chapter from your NCERT board exam point of view and also for NEET, AIIMS and other competitive exams. So let's start with the chapter, Human Health and Disease. Introduction. First is the definition. Health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being and not just merely an absence of disease or physical fitness. It means that it's not that we are only physically fit, we should also be mentally fit. If we are mentally stressed out, it means that we are unhealthy. And if we are not social with others, if we keep fighting with our friends, relatives, then it also means that we are unhealthy. So healthy people are more efficient at their work. If we are healthy, it means that we can do our work better and more efficiently. It also increases life of people and reduces mortality. What is mortality? Mortality means the death rate. You also have a term natality. Natality is the birth and mortality means death. These words are very important. Now let us see what are the conditions necessary for good health. You need good physical environment, also social environment. Suppose a person has to live in isolation or he is under imprisonment. Will that person be mentally happy? No, he will not be mentally healthy. So a good social environment is important for a person to be healthy. Good economic conditions are also required. Suppose a person is below poverty line and cannot afford daily food also, balanced diet also. Will that person be healthy? No, he won't be healthy. Then social equality. Yes, everybody needs social justice. We have to be treated equally. Or if someone has been made bonded labor, then the person cannot be healthy. So all these factors are the conditions necessary for good health. Let us see what are the conditions which are required for good health. You have various conditions. First, you have the personal hygiene, where you have to maintain cleanliness of your body by regularly bathing every day and washing your hands regularly before eating food, after touching contaminated things, right? Then proper disposal of waste. Waste disposal is very important, otherwise vectors will start breeding and it can lead to various infectious diseases. And you know the importance of yoga. Yoga not only helps us to remain physically fit, but also it helps us to be mentally healthy. Then regular exercise helps us to stay healthy. Then also hygienic food and water. The importance of hygienic food and water we will see when we are doing about diseases caused by protozoans. Then we require a balanced diet. If you don't take a balanced diet, it will lead to various nutritional deficiencies. The deficiency diseases, carbohydrate deficiency, protein deficiency, vitamin deficiency diseases. Then you need to control vectors. There are various vectors like mosquitoes, mice. These vectors spread various infectious diseases. So they have to be controlled by keeping the surrounding environment cleaner and their breeding areas should be cleared off. So that's also important. And then vaccination or immunization, the most important condition. So vaccines Vaccines. You have a lot of vaccines which helps us to protect from various diseases. Like you have the BCG, Bacillus Calmette-Guerin. It was discovered by the scientist Calmette and Guerin. That's why the name is given BCG, and it's because of bacteria Bacillus. That's why the name is BCG. Then you have polio vaccine. It is nothing but the Sabin and Salk vaccine. Then you have the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella. Rubella is nothing but the German measles. Then you have the DPT, diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus. Then you have the TAB vaccine, which is used to protect ourselves from typhoid. Then you have the hepatitis B vaccine, which is also called Engerix vaccine. Engerix vaccine, it's made from genetic engineering. Okay, now when we are talking about personal hygiene, we also talk about washing our hands with a alcohol-based soap. Now, what does this alcohol do, or these sterilizers? They contain alcohol. So how they protect us? It is by killing the bacteria. They kill the bacteria by destroying its cell wall. There is also a substance in our body, produced by our body, which can also cause lysis of the bacterial cell wall. It is the lysozyme, which is present in our saliva. And also, there are few bacteria which do not contain cell wall. Do you know what are they called? They are called spirozoans. Spirozoans are the bacteria which do not contain cell wall. Now let us discuss about disease causing agents. There are various agents which cause diseases in human beings. First, we'll talk about the chemical agents. Chemical agents are mainly of two types. You have endogenous chemicals which are formed inside human body itself. Example, you have urea, uric acid. When it accumulates in the body, when uric acid accumulates in the joints, it leads to a disease called gout. You also have hormones which are secreted by the endocrine glands. Hypersecretion, oversecretion or hyposecretion, when it is secreted in lesser quantities or when it is secreted in larger quantities, it also leads to various diseases. Then we have exogenous chemicals. These exogenous chemicals are the pollutants which are present in the atmosphere. Example, you might have asbestos and various metals like lead, mercury, which can cause poisoning, and when it is consumed, it leads to disease like asbestosis is caused by asbestos poisoning. Then there are various physical agents which can also lead to disease and discomfort in us, like excess heat or excess cold. Excess cold can cause to something called frostbite. Then also hypothermia. Humidity also, excess humidity also can affect us. Then excess pressure in the atmosphere, presence of radiations. Then sound. Excess sound, when it is excess, it can damage our tympanic membrane, and when a person is exposed to continuous excess sound pollution, it can also lead to various mental disorders. Then we have biological agents. They're also called pathogens. You have different types of bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, helminths, which are nothing but the parasitic worms. We will learn about them in detail in our further classes. Okay? Then we have nutritional deficiencies. When the food we consume are deficient, if they lack certain nutrients like proteins, vitamins, minerals, it can lead to deficiency diseases. Also contamination. Contamination means presence of disease causing organisms or its toxins in food water, milk can also lead to disease. These are the various disease causing agents. Now we will move on to the mode of transmission. It's also called epidemiology. How the pathogen transmits from one person to another person, or an infected person to a healthy person. There are mainly two modes or two methods. One is called the direct method and the indirect method. In the direct method, an intermediate host is not involved. It directly spreads from the infected person to a normal person, either through person to person contact, or through droplet transmission, or through placenta from an infected mother to the unborn child. Then in indirect method, we have the involvement of an intermediate host most of the time. Okay, so in this you have airborne, then you have the fomite borne, which is nothing but the contaminated objects which can transmit the disease. Then you have contaminated food and drinking water. Also you have vector borne, which is also insect bite, through insect bite. Then you have animal reservoirs and environmental reservoirs. We will see each one in detail. So let's start with direct transmission. In this you have the first type is person to person contact transmission. When an infected person touches a normal person, or when there is exchange of body fluids with a normal person, then person to person contact transmission occurs. Example, if you see in smallpox, chicken pox, or ringworms, or the sexually transmitted diseases, they are transmitted from one person to another person through direct contact. That is person to person contact method. Then the second type you have droplet spread. Spray of droplets. When a person is coughing, sneezing, or even while talking, lot of droplets come out of the mouth. So along with those droplets, there could be the pathogens which can be present in the air, which can be present in the atmosphere. This requires a close proximity. Then it can lead to contamination. The normal person is exposed to the pathogen. You can see such transmission in diseases like tuberculosis, pneumonia, cold, influenza, the recent COVID-19, also SARS and various other respiratory diseases. And the third type in direct transmission is through the placenta. That is, a pregnant woman, if she is suffering from an infectious disease, she can transmit it to the unborn child via the placenta. You have examples like sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, syphilis, also German measles. This was about direct transmission. Now we will move on to the next mode, that is indirect transmission. In indirect transmission, you have the airborne transmission. The infectious agents, they can remain suspended in the air for extended period of time. For example, measles. The measles pathogen can remain in the air for a longer time, even after the patient or the infected person exits the room. After that also, the pathogen is present in the air, and when a normal person enters the room, he is exposed to the pathogen and he might catch the pathogen and get affected. Then we have contaminated objects. Some pathogens can live on objects for a short period of time. And if a normal person touches the contaminated objects like doorknobs, sharing towels, touching the clothes of infected person, it can lead to exposure. The person is exposed to the infection, and transmission will occur when the person touches the mouth, nose or eyes without washing the hands thoroughly. Example, you have ringworms, also COVID-19. Contaminated blood products and medical supplies can also spread pathogens. That's why blood products have to be screened, medical supplies have to be sterilized before using it. Next, we have contaminated food and water. When the food is not handled properly, not handled hygienically, or when the food is not cooked properly, undercooked meat or improperly handled food can also lead to infection. Improperly canned food, for example, leads to a disease called botulism. It's caused by the pathogen Clostridium botulinum, where the spores or the organism is present in the canned food and it produces toxic substance, the toxin. It's very dangerous. It can lead to food poisoning. Then we have animal reservoirs. There are certain pathogens which are present in animals and they cause diseases in animals. But this animal to animal disease transmission can sometimes accidentally transfer to human beings also. Example is COVID-19, which is a recent example. You have other examples also previously from the past. So these are called zoonosis. Zoonosis occurs when diseases are transferred from animals to human beings. Example, you have anthrax, which is from sheep. Then you have rabies, which is from rodents and other mammals. Then you have West Nile virus, which is from birds. The next indirect method of transmission is your vector-borne diseases. Some pathogens are spread by insects, especially those that suck blood. Example, you have mosquito. Mosquitoes spread malaria, dengue, chikungunya, yellow fever, filariasis. Then you have your housefly. Housefly can spread cholera, dysentery. Then you have the tsetse fly, which helps in transmitting the sleeping sickness pathogen. Then you have sandfly, which leads to leishmaniasis. So these are the vector-borne diseases which can transmit the diseases from one person to another person. Then you have environmental reservoirs. There are some pathogens which are present in the soil, water and vegetation, especially the spores. The spores are so resistant, they can remain in the soil for a very long time and it can be transferred to human beings. Example, tetanus causing Clostridium spores, then hookworms. And the last method or mode is there are some carriers, there are some disease carriers, human beings. They don't have symptoms of the disease, but they can spread the disease to others. They carry the pathogen inside their body. They are asymptomatic carriers. You have the classical example of Typhoid Mary, also Mary Mallon. She was a cook and she used to cook in restaurants. So wherever she was cooking, she used to spread the disease, typhoid disease, to many people. Many people used to die from typhoid, and later on it was found it was because of this lady, this cook Mary Mallon, and later on she was advised not to cook for others. So this is about the introduction to health and the disease, pathogens and how they spread. We will continue about the diseases caused